Welcome to our masterclass on brand reputation and protection for food and drink companies. Myself, Jessica Burt from Mills and Reeve, Richard Plaistowe from Mills and Reeve, and Eddie Stableford will be giving an overview of how best to protect your brands and the pitfalls for you to avoid, as well as the opportunities to take. One of the main areas when conducting branding activities is to ensure that you stay legally compliant. In relation to food products, there's a host of regulations connected with advertising and marketing. And during the masterclass, I will talk you through the main aspects of this concerning the advertising of health and nutritional claims, as well as general voluntary claims and regulatory names, to know the key building blocks on how to ensure your product and your brand stays legally compliant.
The most obvious thing is that there's been huge brand proliferation. There's been a big change away from the multinational conglomerates to lots of new startup brands coming into the space. And as a consequence, every product category now is ram-jammed full of competing products. Peanut butter being an obvious example. I mean, just think about how that category has grown from one brand about 5 years ago to the plethora there today. So every brand has a job to do in terms of its presentation, its communication style, its voice, and the subconscious attributes that a brand has in relating to a consumer and attracting a consumer. So creating points of difference in brand identity, the visual equities, has become more important than ever.
Well, when it comes to protecting your brand, obviously the first thing is to make sure that you have freedom to use that. And people often forget to conduct clearance searches of the trademark register, such that they are then faced potentially with an infringement claim when they launch their brand, or when they apply to register their brand as a trademark, they may well find that application opposed. Also, sometimes people choose to launch a brand which is fairly descriptive of that product, which is then very difficult to protect by way of registration. So those are a couple of things to be thinking of, and we'll be discussing that in more detail during the masterclass. Next is obviously failing to enforce your brand. So you may have spent a lot of money launching your brand and protecting it by way of registration, but then not taking action against people who are making unauthorized use of that, which could cause damage to your brand's reputation and also potentially dilute its distinctiveness.
Because there have been quite a few instances recently where brands have suffered massively in terms of their reputation by becoming unstuck in terms of things that they stand for, and then consumers discovering that there are issues with those values.
One of the key mistakes that people make when it comes to brand reputation is not being entirely honest with the consumer. And this might be from exaggerating a claim, whether that's a health and nutrition claim or potentially a premium aspect of the product. Alternatively, not being entirely transparent during their handling of a crisis. It's really important to put the safety and needs of the consumer first over the corporation in order to protect the brand.